Before we look at ordering decimal numbers, we're going to just quickly review how you order alphabetically, because the principles are the same for both types of ordering. So here we have a set of 4 names, and if we wanted to put them in order, then we're going to focus on just the first letter of each name in this particular case to start with. So because they're all different, then this is a relatively simple task. So the first name that we're going to use here is going to be Billy. Then it would be John. Then it would be Susan. And then it would be Ted. So all we've had to do is look just at the very first letter. Nothing else was actually needed here. So we'll look at a slightly more complex situation with the names. So we've got 4 more names here. Now what you'll notice is that when we look at the first letters of these names, that 2 of them have an A and 2 of them have a C. So we're going to look at the 2 that have A's first, but what we're now going to have to do is we're going to now need to look at the second letter in their name to decide which of these is going to go first. So because B comes before L, then we're going to have Abigail first, then Alan, and then we're going to go to the 2 C's. So we're going to do the same thing again. So we're going to have to look at the second letter in these names. Now the first letter were C's for both of them. The second letters are both H. So that hasn't helped us. So now we're going to need to look at the third letter each of these. And these are different. So now we can tell which one needs to come first. So we need to put Charlie first and then Chris. So we're going to take these ideas and apply them now into ordering decimal numbers. The big thing that I want you to remember before we get anywhere near the decimal numbers is, remember, if you think about what you've just done, what we've just done with the names, it wasn't about how long the name was. So it's all about place value. That's what's going to be important in terms of determining which decimal is the lower, which one is the higher one. So let's actually have some examples here. So remember, what did we do when we were looking at the names? We looked at the first part. So let's look at the first part of these numbers. And what we noticed is that all of them have a 0 in the units place. So that doesn't help us to order them. So we then move on and let's underline the next place, which is the tenths. Now these are not all the same, so we can order these using that. So we've got 0.04 first, because that's got the lowest tenths value. Then we're going to have 0.16, and then we're going to have 0.38. and then we're going to have 0.75. Now one of the little tricks that can help you with doing this as well is to actually put the numbers that you've got to start with in vertical order like I've done them here, but before you even rearrange them into their correct numerical order, if you just write them like that, then it makes it a bit easier to compare the place values. So I'll do that with the next example. So here are our set of numbers. So I'm going to take this set of numbers and I'm not going to order them yet. I'm just going to rewrite them so that they're underneath each other. So I'll leave the first one where it is, then the second one I'm going to write these as carefully as I can underneath so that we've got the place values all lined up in these numbers, and then that makes it easier to look at. Okay, so we've done that. So once again, I'm not going to underline them this time. We can see that in the units place they all start with 0, so that's not going to help us with our ordering. So we'll look at the next place along, which is pence here, and we can see that we've got 2 with 1 and 2 with 7. So we're going to deal with the ones with 1 first, because we're going from least to greatest. If you're going the other way round, obviously you'd reverse that process. So we've got 2 that have got 1 in, and so that means we're forced to look at the next place value along in those numbers to determine which one comes first. So what we can see is that in the hundredths position we've got a 0 or we've got a 6. So the one with the 0 goes first. So over here we're going to start with 0.106, and then that's going to be 0.16 afterwards. So notice what I was saying earlier, the longest number actually came first. Just because it's a long number doesn't mean it's the biggest number out of the two. So if we go back now, we're going to look at the other two numbers that have the 7 in the tenths position. So let's see what they've got in the next place value along, which is the hundredths. Now they both happen to have 5s, so that's not helping us to actually order them. So we're going to have to go one place further to the hundredths. Of course, this one up here doesn't have anything in there, so it's got, if you like, an invisible 0 there, if that helps you out. So out of those ones, it's going to be 0.75, that's the smallest one, and 0.756 is just that little bit bigger. And so that's how you order decimals.